Mark, it's 9.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll call the McLeod County Board meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin with our consideration of agenda items. I know the changes that we have made so far from the consent agenda. We'll be pulling items E and F and putting those under administration. Are there any other changes to today's agenda?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Looking for a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I approve it. Second.
We have a motion from Luthen, second from Schmaltz to approve today's agenda. Any discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, consent agenda.
I'll move on the consent agenda.
I'll second the remaining items.
Okay, we have a motion from Kruger, second from Nagel to approve today's consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, finance. Colleen.
Good morning.
Morning, Colleen.
I have two items this morning. The first one, A, consider approving Resolution 23CB23, authorizing the acceptance and gifts and contributions in the amount of $159,117.45 for the year ending December 31st, 2022. This is a requirement of Minnesota Statute 465.03.
Any questions for Colleen?
Is that one donor, one gift?
No, that's several. They're part of the resolution. They're all named in the resolution.
Yep.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll move Resolution 23CB-23.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion by Schmaltz, second by Kruger to consider approving Resolution 23CB23, acceptance of gifts and contributions in the amount of $159,117.45. Is there any further discussion? Then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My second item today is to consider approving Resolution 23CB24, authorizing a temporary ditch loan in the amount of $1,170,300 from the General Revenue Fund to the Ditch Fund to cover negative county and joint ditch fund balances dated December 31st, 2022. The ditch loan interest was set at the public hearing on October 4th, 2022 in the amount of 3% for ditch loans.
Yes.
I just have one question. I don't know if it's an attorney question or not, but I mean, being we said it at the meeting, is 3% good enough? I mean, I know there's some other counties going up, and I'd like to stay. It doesn't bother me, but I mean, I know other counties have raised theirs because of just what money is doing.
This was the amount that Connie and I had talked about because this is what would be on the assessments.
Okay, and I think it's, if we can, I think if we can leave it there, we should, but I just want to make sure we're,
This has increased. We used to do a 1%,
Right.
which really doesn't cover a whole lot of just the administrative fees and everything else that go along with that, just to cover part of our costs.
and to be fair, I'm more asking the question just to make sure it's transparent than I am. I'm not concerned, but I just want to make sure we covered our bases.
Are there any other questions?
Yep. Further questions or action items?
I'll make a motion to approve the 3%.
No, you're approving the 1.1.
Or the resolution 23CB24, I'm sorry.
Yep. Got it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Kruger, a second from Schmaltz to consider approving Resolution 23CB24, a temporary ditch loan amount of $1.1,700,000, $1,170,300 from the general revenue to cover negative joint county and joint ditch fund balances. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 5, environmental services.
Good morning, everyone. So one item this morning it is to consider an EIS application made by the Lake and Marion Improvement Association. And they will be working with a vendor, O'Malley Fish LLC from La Center, Minnesota, for a carp cleanout project on Lake Marion to improve water quality, clarity, and fishing prospects at a cost of $100,000 from the EIS budget. The county amount requested is $100,000. There is a 10% match required, which is $10,000 for this project, and that will be made by the Lake Marion Improvement Association. So the project total is $110,000. This is an ongoing effort. Obviously, we've worked with them in the past that you remember for our cleanout, and then there is stakeholders involved in this process to do more than just carp cleanout. We're looking at possibly doing a culvert cover on the north end of the lake to help reduce some of the fish movement, which gets the carp out of the spawning habitat areas that they can reproduce in at an excessive rate. And then working with our Soil and Water Office, they've also identified some projects down the road. Once our 10-year plan is done for One Watershed, One Plan, hopefully we can access some of the funds that project allow them to do some clean water initiatives as well. So this is an ongoing project. This is something that we're working with the DNR and local stakeholders to try to create a plan for that lake and help improve that. And being that there's a park there, this would be advantageous, I do believe, with the prospects of the park moving forward.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, is this ongoing then? We'll never get rid of the carp?
So that's an interesting question. We do have one local gentleman that works for the DNR, Adam Katzenmeyer, who's done extensive with carp and carp removal. It's an invasive species. I don't believe they're going to get rid of them. There is some water to the north end of that watershed. It's attached with a culvert, which is what I was speaking to earlier. The culvert cover project that we're talking about, hopefully we can get that done this year, and it'll limit the amount of migratory fish that move into those waters that heat up faster, which allow for spawning habitat, a lot of it. So can you ever get rid of them? No. Can you help reduce the numbers and the excess quantity of them in the lake? That is our effort.
Just so aware, I'll be abstaining from this voting on this again today as I did last time. I will, just because there's a way that I'll be gaining from this project, and so it's a lot easier and more transparent if I, again, abstain from voting. So Vice Chair Nagel will be taking care of that for today.
All right, any further discussion on item A under environmental services?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, so Fish and Game, Wildlife, they don't contribute?
So DNR handles the waters of the state.
Yep.
And they have a fisheries department. They have an aquatic invasive species department. We've worked with both of those entities for our local area. Scott Mockton is our area fishery supervisor, and Adam Katzenmeyer is our aquatic invasive species supervisor for this area. And we've had meetings with them and the Broughton Rod and Gun Club and the Lake Marion Improvement Association, trying to figure out what's best moving forward as a plan for this lake. And in regards to carp isn't necessarily thought of as an invasive species, but they do rut up the bottom. They do create quite a bit of turbidity, which lends itself to increased water temperatures quicker, which lends itself to increase spawning. And so we're trying to work on this as a collective whole. In regards to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they are typically not involved with efforts like this for aquatic invasive species control and fish control. The DNR is, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is not.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
with the questions that have been coming forward here, I also met with Lake Marion and DNR, and who else was there, Mark? Ourselves and
Broughton Rod and Gun Club was there.
Gun. I've been around that area for a long time. It's the first time I've seen everybody at the table. And it's actually going good. It's the only lake that we really have, well, it's not the only lake, but it's one that it's totally encompassed in McLeod County. And just the way this fed together, as far as DNR and Fish and Wildlife, I mean, we'll be waiting quite a while. So and this just all fell together with our funding and Lake Marion applying for this grant and stuff, and the willingness to try and do something. So I think it's a worthwhile project, just for the commissioners that weren't there. I mean, again, it's well used by our constituency, and I think it's a good lake, so I think it's worth the effort to try and do this. They're looking long range, not just short range, so that helps. Met with the fishermen. And actually, as far as Commissioner Wright not sustaining, I said it last time, it's a service. I mean, it's costing him money to help this project go, and it comes from the outside vendor. It doesn't come from the actual funded project, so I don't have any problems with any of that. So that's all I've got.
All right. What are the board's wishes on item A under environmental services?
I'll move to approve.
A motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmalz, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wright?
Okay, thank you. Item 6, our county assessor.
Good morning, all. I am here today on a tax court petition for Solid Investments LLC. This is a motel on the east side of the city of Hutchinson. They filed tax court back as far as pay 20. So this tax court petition, they agreed to our settlement offer of $320,000. So for the pay 19, it would go from $330,000 down to $320,000. They actually didn't file for pay 21. It would be from $337,100 down to the $320,000, and then for pay 22, the same amount, $337,100 down to $320,000.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
And this is acceptable
We feel so, yes.
for both parties?
Yes, they are agreeable to this amount.
These are the same folks that struggled during the epidemic, or I can't for some reason.
No, I don't know that they did. I mean, it's the motel, like I said, down on the east side of the city of Hutch. It's
It's that bigger new one on the?
no, up further down yet, down by, past the SA down towards the east side. It's like a little garden area in the middle, or a little, and then there's two sides to the motel down there. So we had started, the task court is finally starting to push through some of these petitions that have been sitting out there for a while. So we're starting to get a little bit more active on some of these cases. But this is one that we feel would be better to be settled here instead of going to court on. So the total reduction for those 3 years would be $47,200.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Based on the information, I'll move to approve the recommendation, or the settlement.
Settlement.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the settlement with Solid Investments LLC. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Nagel, second from Kruger, to accept the settlement from Solid Investments LLC. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I don't know what the climate is, but I do know this was the right process. I just took my training, and this is the right process that they went through. And whether you like it or don't like it, in the scheme of things, the amount of money on my percentage isn't that great. At least we're moving along. And again, I'm going to emphasize that it's the right process that these people took to get their taxes adjusted, so I'm in favor of it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sue, how do you get the comparisons like on a hotel like that?
We actually had 3 sales, 2 actually right down the road from this facility on Highway 7 that supported actually a little higher value than what we settled for. They started down in the low 200,000s, and with the information that we had, we settled it at the 320. But we actually had 2 sales in the time from settlement to support our value.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. And you'll be able to stick around for a little bit, Sue?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Item 7, employee relations.
Good morning.
Morning.
Item A, this morning I'm just reporting that McLeod County's compliance with the Minnesota Pay Equity Report for 2023. Every 3 years, state law requires all public jurisdictions to report on pay equity, all cities, counties, school districts, and the basis of this is reviewing all of our established evaluation system, which we use. We gather all of the jobs, titles, the points assigned to those jobs, numbers of employees, those that are male, female, non-binary, and the salary, as well as years of service. And so that was reported at the end of 2022. We received our in compliance report in early February, and so today I'm just reporting that we are in compliance. I think we may want to make a motion to just approve the pay equity, or to accept the pay equity report, but we have been approved by the state for 2023. And again, we do have to do this every 3 years.
Okay, then we will be looking for a motion to accept the Minnesota Pay Equity Report for 2023.
Mr. Chair, so move.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion from Schmal, second from Luthens to accept the Minnesota Pay Equity Report for 2023. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Who regulates this? I mean, the
So this
state- You
is-
said the state, but what department?
Yeah, so it's the Minnesota Management and Budget. Yeah, MMB. And this has been in act since 1984. We've been reporting every 3 years on our pay equity
Just
reporting.
out of curiosity, I mean, I'm fine with the motion and how it's being carried through, but what does it really mean? I mean, what happens if we're out of compliance? What
Yep.
do they tell us to do? It seems to me we had this conversation a couple of years ago, and I just wonder, what did we do to get better?
Sure. So they review all of our results, and if we were to come back, so basically we receive a kind of a simple report that says, there's sort of different areas in which we are in compliance, we're over a certain percentage. And Minnesota specifically is looking at gender and wages. They're looking at, do we have, what is the percentage of male, female, they're making certain dollar amounts, and are we looking at them equally when the same points are given to a job? So that's how it's doing, that's what the equity reporting is doing. We could get a result back that says that we're not meeting expectations, and then we'd have to make some corrections with the state or work with the state. But I've not gone through that process before, but we did receive that we're meeting expectations in all the areas that they review.
Thank you.
Okay, any other further questions or comments? All right, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Thank you. Consider approving a recommendation from the Personnel and Budget Committees to hire an additional part-time building service maintenance engineer to assist with maintenance and custodial needs at facilities such as the Parks and Fairgrounds and Environmental Services offices in Hutchinson. We are requesting a position of 20 hours a week. This was not budgeted, but would be covered by the 2023 using unallocated funds.
Mr. Chair?
Yep, yes, go ahead.
I was familiar with, or I've been familiar for a while with the need of the help in both building services and environmental services. So I'm happy that you reach, this looks like a efficient, I don't know, economical way or cheaper, better way to cover two birds with one stone, so I'd make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion from Kruger, second from Nagel, to approve the recommendation to hire an additional part-time building services maintenance engineer for approximately 20 hours per week. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Typically, we try to do this in the budgeting cycle, and so we're not adding employees throughout the year. And maybe this could have been done, but the need kind of arose or manifested after this. So I'm okay with it in this circumstance, but just, I guess, reminding everybody to keep that in mind, that it's kind of something we don't want to do very often.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just want to add one comment that this is, I wouldn't say budget neutral by any means, but it is only using funds that were allocated towards staffing that will not and have not been used throughout the year. So I am thankful that you were able to find this adjustment because we do need the services and coverage. You may all know, but maintenance is a very difficult position to fill, just like many others in our departments. So we do appreciate the adjustment, and if it were to continue, it'd be included in the 2024 budget cycle.
Okay, good. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Help me understand, we just got done moving into a new building and got rid of 2 buildings. So I would think we'd have less maintenance. And we got a new building that's,
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Luthens. It's a good point, because we have done a lot of cost savings efforts as a result of combining the facilities, so that's important to keep a note on. We watch the utilities and the different expenses that have been adjusted as a result of that move. However, we have been short on fairgrounds and environmental services since before that change. We don't give them very much custodial services. A lot of the different staff has picked it up, including our environmental services director, Mark Tuletsky. We have understaffed those roles, and it's time to give them the support that they need to keep the facilities in working order. Right now, people are working overtime or going over their off time, or other staff are helping to clean it up, and it's not working out. So,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, with the posting showing a 20-hour a week, which I believe in my mind means that they won't be offered benefits with this position, which, am I correct on that?
That's correct. Yep.
So again, a little bit of a savings there, let's say, by not offering the benefits
Sure. Yep.
at the county level. Thank you.
Any other-
Mr. Chair, I
yes.
guess I'll throw my 2 cents in as well. Again, that I just appreciate the creativeness of trying to keep employees. I mean, it's not easy. I'm on with Commissioner Nagel. I mean, it's almost every other day something's coming up. So I appreciate the creative ways to try and maintain what we need. And I don't think it's going to get better. I mean, there's probably, it's just hard to find good help. This, in my mind, has an opening to find a good person, another person to fill in. I watch what's going on. We use part-time, and I guess my main point is I appreciate the creative ways. We'll see how it goes. I mean, but I do appreciate Commissioner Nagel's comments there as well. But again, I understand working with environmental services, the need there. I find that our supervisor is doing a lot of the work to help out, and it's good management in my opinion, and I think you're going to see a lot more creative ways, and it's the only way we're going to find out if some of these things work.
Okay, very good. Good discussion. Anything else for today on this one? Then I think we're ready to vote. All in favor of approving the recommendation of Personnel Committee to hire an additional part-time building services manager at 20 hours a week, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Consider adopting Resolution 23CB26 approving MnDOT Cooperative Agreement, Construction Agreement 105-1803 for Trunk Highway 7 and CASAW 1 construction project near Lester Prairie at a cost of $646,176.17 with funds from the highway construction budget. MnDOT is constructing a roundabout at Trunk Highway 7 and CASAW 1 near Lester Prairie this summer to address a higher than average crash rate at the intersection. This agreement outlines roles, responsibilities, cost splits, and maintenance for the project. The county was awarded $192,000 in federal highway safety improvement project funds, HSIP, to help pay for its share of the construction costs. Per MnDOT's cost participation policy, the county is responsible for construction costs on the CASAW 1 leg of the roundabout.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, yes.
It's not a secret. It's well known that the intersection that we're talking about here has a higher crash rate than what they call average. And I think from the local perspective of our emergency services, it can't come soon enough. So I'm looking forward to us proceeding with the project. I'm glad the funding is in place and look forward for its completion, which I believe will be late summer this year.
Correct.
And with that, I will make the resolution to approve 23-CB-26.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, and ditto whatever Commissioner just said. And I go through that intersection a few times a year, and it's a very dangerous intersection.
It is.
Can't come soon enough.
Much needed safety improvement. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
that's $792,000. Part of that will go to Ring Road and Jefferson for that roundabout?
Nope, that is a separate pot of money for the Jefferson roundabout.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion by Schmalz, a second by Kruger to adopt Resolution 23-CB-26, approving Minnesota Department of Transportation Cooperative Construction Agreement for the roundabout construction at Trunk Highway 7 and State Aid Highway Number 1. Is there any further discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next
Thank you.
item.
Consider authorizing Public Works to proceed with bid letting dates for the following 2023 construction projects with various funds from the highway construction budget. Just read off the list here. CP 230001, countywide pavement markings. CP 230002, countywide seal coat. CP 220701, that's Bridge 43515, bridge deck overlay on County Road 71. This one was authorized last year. Erickson Engineering, who's putting the plans together, was not able to get the plans together last year, so they're getting those done now and can proceed with that again. SAP 43715-005, that's the concrete overlay project on Airport Road or CASAW 115 from CASAW 7 to Trunk Highway 22. SAP 43715-006, that's concrete pavement rehab. That is from CASAW 7 to Trunk Highway 7. State project SP 4307018, that is countywide 6-inch ground and wet reflective pavement markings. And SP 4307023, that is the roundabout construction at Jefferson and Airport Road.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to be clear, this is a bid letting, from what we need to get these bids, or we need to get this going. I know some are out already, and the contractors are bidding them, so I make a motion that again, they'll come back to us after the bids are there, so
Yep.
it's all good, but we need to get these things going.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kruger, a second by Nagel, to consider authorizing Public Works to proceed with the following that's located in our packet, the bid letting dates for 2023 construction. Is there any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the bridge, is that right by Highway 22?
Yeah, that is the one between Highway 22 and the landfill.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Up to county administration.
Go ahead with the calendars
Yep,
first.
let's go ahead with Commissioner calendars. Commissioner Nagel.
Very good, thank you. After our last board meeting, attended the AMC Drainage Conference in Alexandria. Nathan night, it was a well-done conference. I'm guessing about, Commissioner Kruger can help me, but 150 to 200 people there.
Well attended.
Well-attended, well-run, lots of good information. It was very good for me to be there and see it. Some things I knew, some things I didn't. My favorite part was kind of the history of the drainage and how we came to what we do today and how that has evolved and changed and somewhat contradicted itself over the years, and went through that. Thanks to Commissioner Kruger. He won't take credit for it, but he had a lot to do with that conference, and it was, in my opinion, one of the experts as the discussions were going through. So it was nice to see, and he made McLeod County proud. Later on, had a department head meeting, attended. It was well-run, good information. Was excited to see the department heads working together and collaborating on different things as projects come up and who can help out who. So that was very exciting for me to see. County engineer / public works director interviews, excellent candidates. And that's, I guess, all I'll say at that point right now, but excellent candidates, and we're in good shape. So, and then informational meeting on CD 8, 10, and 36, where we went over some potential tree removal, future repair issues, and heard from the landowners. It was a good meeting. Room was full, which was fine, and they did a good job of being respectful and polite as they addressed their concerns, even though the emotion was in the room. There's no doubt about it. But the way they conducted themselves, it made it easy to understand where they were coming from. So that's it.
Okay, last week on the 9th, joined members of the Fair Board in having a planning meeting with the livestock superintendents from the county fair for a really good discussion on facilities and also future forecasts of participants. And there was every indication of our numbers and participation going up in the coming years from those that were there, so that's good news. The McLeod County Fair is absolutely one of the best in the Midwest, and there's a lot of folks that want to come there and display animals on top of our outstanding 4-H participation. So that was a good meeting to have, and it does put some additional stress on our facilities, and those are things that everybody needed to go home and think about a little bit. Commissioner Nagel reported on our department head meeting on the 15th, joint planning meeting. Good discussion there. We had an applicant that wanted to repurpose an existing building to some degree, maybe putting the cart before the horse. Really needed to wait for some soil tests to see if they truly were able to use that building for what they wanted to, especially in relation to a future septic system. So that was tabled until some appropriate borings and research could be done before the applicant got too deep and couldn't get back out of it. So I think that was a good move on that one. Although not an official meeting, but there's been a lot of coordinating between the Lake Marion Lake Association and Bell Lake for this carp removal project, and everything was in line for that to happen this week until the forecast came to be. So everything got rerouted, and it'll happen when the weather's a little bit clearer, because it's about a week-long process, and it didn't pay to try and do that during a blizzard. So that's it for me.
All right, thank you. You commented on the Lake Marion meeting. I want to comment on Commissioner Nagel saying there was a conflict, and I just want to explain that, is that I'm old enough to remember when they used to pay us to tile, and now, obviously, it's quite different, you know, and unfortunately, they're trying to go back and, in some cases, and undo with some things that have been done. Some may be warranted, some not so much. But I just wanted to clear that up. It was a good conference. It was AMC, and then I belong to the drainage work group, and one of the viewers and SGIS funded some of the conference, so it was very good. I mean, there's so many things changing with the drainage laws and regulations that it's hard to keep up, and that was a 3-day conference. And on Friday, I did have my drainage work group, which is a group that we try to get consensus on changing some of the drainage laws, and it's quite interesting. And then we send our consensus to the legislature for them to act on. And in this day and age, it's really hard to get consensus. So if we did make some progress on some verbiage, and if we can hold everybody to their word, we'll see how it goes. We might get through something that we have some control over, rather than just let it go through an omnibus bill that we don't have any control over. So hopefully that works. I'll keep everybody informed. On Monday the 13th, I went to a pipeline. Myself and Commissioner Schmalz were both there. The pipeline safety, I went to a number of them, and they're kind of all the same, but it's kind of nice to, I'm not a first responder, but just as a commissioner, it's nice to be reminded of any new pipelines or any remodels that they've done. So we kind of know there's getting to be more and more in the country. They might run along a line fence somewhere, and it just, you want to make sure the first responders or fire and sheriff's department are aware of that. Let me see. I had my agenda review on the 16th, and on the 17th, I had Southwest Corridor, which is 212, and it's now expanded into 5, and I'm nervous to say too much because Andrew probably knows more about this than I do, but everything is being, he worked on it so long, but it's quite, I mean, obviously the money is mind-boggling, but it's moving forward. I mean, it actually, my biggest concern and our effort has been in finishing 212, but now Highway 5 is coming in conjunction with this around the Arboretum. It's amazing on what's going on, and I hope, I know in this climate of our economy, you know, when you start talking this kind of money, you just don't know. But 212 is on. There will be a bridge by Bongards, or an overpass, whatever it's called. That's the only part that isn't funded, but it's not slowing anything down. They're moving forward. Andrew, does that make halfway sense, or is there anything that you'd want to comment on? I mean, it's a lot. I think, what is it, 117, there's a $30 million for that bridge on it's just kind of nice to keep people abreast of what's going on, but.
Yeah, Commissioner Kruger, you hit the nail on the head there. Everything for 212's funded other than the overpass at Bongards, it sounds like. And it sounds like Carver County is planning to chip in up to $20 million on that project. So if you want to look at a good recap of the 212 corridor, look back at, I believe it was last week's Carver County Board meeting. Darren Melke gave an update presentation at that. It was a good update.
And I printed some, you can bring it up, and I don't have time to redo it. I went and printed it, and it's too small for me to read here. So it's, but it's, again, it's a lot of money. It's good for McLeod County. You know, it's tough in these times, but Carver County is just giving her heck. I mean, they're not taking a breath. They're looking for, always help, but I think it'll be an asset to our county here as well. That 5 is, I trucked for 20 years. That was bad 30 years ago, so it's well needed. There's quite a bridge on there. It's interesting read if people want to go, and it'll affect us out here. Thank you. I was too long-winded anyway. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Kruger. And Chair, I was blessed with having a lighter duties here the last 2 weeks since the last board meeting. So I'll go right to the 13th, last week Monday, like Commissioner Kruger had mentioned. He and I attended the pipeline safety meeting hosted by MinCor. The amazing part about the meeting was that I didn't count exactly how many pipe entities were there, but I think it would have to be about a dozen different entities that were at this training session. And maybe it was geared a little bit more towards emergency services, but it was very informative for me to attend. I think the main takeaway that I had from the meeting was how to set up a command post or a command center if an event happens. You consider the wind being upwind, where it's positioned, who the players that are involved. There's a lot of moving parts to it, and there's a big concern about how the information gets distributed. So that's why the importance of the command center and the chain of command. Truly informative. I learned a lot being in attendance. And then, like Commissioner Nagel stated, we on the 16th, we had County Ditch 8, 10, 36 informational meeting here at the Government Center, and I thank Commissioner Nagel for moderating that meeting. Job well done, and like he stated, we had a civil meeting and conversation and informative session. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I got a couple questions. Do we know where the pipeline is going to be laid yet? Is that discussed at all?
I don't know of any, go ahead.
Yeah, Commissioner Luthens, it really wasn't about any pipeline installations. It was about the safety, maintaining the safety and dealing with emergency situations on the pipeline system that we have.
Okay.
Maybe what you're referencing is a meeting this Thursday about public utilities and routing a power line possibly through McLeod County. Maybe that's what you're referencing.
Commissioner Luthens, it surrounds the existing pipeline infrastructure and the safety and coordination of that. Often that's what that meeting covers. I wasn't at this one, I've been at several of them, but I'm not aware of a new pipeline coming in or anything like that.
Mr. Commissioner Luthens, just to help you out, they do bring them up if new ones have been built or are going to be built, but none that they even bring up the spurs. They have all the carriers for all the gas companies, Hutch, there's more than I even know, and subsidiaries of those, and they're all there, and they tell where their lines are, and if there's been changes, pressure changes, pump changes, they bring them up, but it's basically, it is for emergency responder people more than anything. I'm sure it's mandated. It's fine with me. They serve us a meal, give us some free toys, and it's fine, but it is very enlightening I was amazed on how many lines that are already in the country where natural gas runs, and if they're crossing somebody's property, they give them a hookup, and sometimes it's not documented as good as it probably could be, at least with your local fire and responders, but it's that type of meeting. It's never about should we or will we or won't we, it's all about what's there and how to service and respond quick.
Well, my interest is we have the pipeline going through our properties, and every time we want to tile, we really don't get good notification of it. We just kind of on our own to find it.
It's in there, and if it helps, I can get you again, I don't know firsthand, but they pride themselves in responding. to these things. I mean, they're 24 hours. I think most of them, Commissioner Schmalz, wouldn't you say most of them were like a 24-hour or two-day type response, but
I think, Mr. Chair, I think Commissioner Kruger kind of stated it. I mean, the locating part is, falls on the responsibility of calling the Gopher One.
Yep.
I have a natural gas line coming through my farm as well, and I will say that the company that comes through our farm is a very responsive and very, very concerned about any excavation anywhere near their pipeline. So my experience was a good experience, but it was a few years ago as well, as far as the pipeline company responding to requests. And I mentioned the Gopher One call. The 811 is the number for the public to remember. If you need any locating,
Yep.
you call the 811 number, whether it's electric, whether it's gas, whether it's telephone or fiber. Fiber is a big concern today in the technology world. We want to do everything we can to make sure that we're not disturbing the utilities that we have underground.
Thank you. Back to the 212. Do we have a finish date on that line?
projected ahead of you. Go ahead.
Commissioner Luthen, so my understanding is the segment from Harvard Cologne is basically complete minus some cable, median, guardrail, which will be completed this spring. The segment from Cologne to Norwood, Young America is going into final design now, and due to some environmental documentation they have to complete, they're looking at a midsummer of 2024 bid with a completion date in 2026. And that extensive construction timeline is mainly due to soil corrections that need to be done near bond gardens and the time it takes to do those.
Okay, thank you. The drainage conference, I attended that along with Joe and Doug. The speakers, John Cole from Ricky Nguyen and Chris, the engineer, two excellent speakers, giving us a lot of information. John did an excellent job. And Doug in his open panel talking to the whole public, very interesting, and he probably knows just as much as John does. So, thank you.
Doug, you're going to start charging by the hour like attorneys for advice on these ditches pretty soon, aren't you?
I thought about that the other day. Mr. Chair.
My information now is free, and that's what it's worth.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I have an update.
Yep.
Well, with the expectation of severe weather beginning this afternoon through Thursday evening, we've canceled the Environmental Services Workshop scheduled for tomorrow, February 22nd at 11 a.m. in Hutchinson. Once a rescheduled date is determined, we will announce an update. Also, if the severe weather occurs and persists, we may have to make adjustments to our non-emergent services for the safety of our employees and citizens. For updates on any closings or adjustments of hours, please check our county website and Facebook page or call 320-864-5551 for more information. Thank you. Item A?
Brian, did you have anything to add at all?
Well,
Nothing,
I'm
thank you.
sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Nope, okay, now back to you then, thanks.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Ryan. Item A, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, March 7, 2023 at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue, North Glencoe, Minnesota. And then our moved items, item B, approve 2023 township assessment agreements with the townships of Acoma, Bergen, Glencoe, Hale, Helen, Lynn, and Winstead. That was item E on your consent agenda.
Okay, commissioners did request that this was moved off of consent. Is there discussion on that?
My question is, excuse me, of, are all the townships involved, or some some of them are not in this program.
Okay.
We'll let Sue talk, sorry.
The townships and cities that are on that list are the ones that they hire the county to do. So not all townships are going to be on there because some of them do have local assessors yet. So the contracts that are in front of you for the city and the townships are only for the areas that the county is hired by those taxing districts to do their assessing.
And it's their choice which way to go.
Yes.
So, the local assessors are charging more than the $750?
That I don't know. That's private information between them and their taxing districts. I don't know what they charge.
The county's charging extra $3 on top of the $750?
So the $3 is a maintenance fee, is not an actual assessing contract. The $750 is what we charge to do the work. The $3 is charged to all the taxing districts for the maintenance and support in our office to process all the information, homesteads, any kind of applications. This is general duties that we have to phone calls, everything that we're vetting in the office. But that $3 is a maintenance fee, and that is applied to all the taxing districts.
So are the townships and the cities getting billed $3 a second billing of the $750?
So when we bill it out in the fall, the $3 and the $750 is one bill for each of the taxing districts that hire us, and then the other taxing districts that have a local assessor, they get a separate bill for that $3.
So in these contracts that we're doing right now, it's only just the $750 and not the $3.
Correct, because the $3 is a fee schedule bill. The $750 is for us to contract with them to do the assessing. So that they're two separate issues, they're two separate bills. So the $750 is just for us to be knocking on doors, doing our part of our quarter, of which they hire us to do. The $3 is maintenance as part of the county business, so that's not part of the contract.
The private assessors, they do not charge the $3 because that comes from the county.
Correct.
The private assessors cannot get into the books or
No, they have the book.
to do the maintenance.
They'd have to come into the office on a day-to-day basis and sit at the $3 is for us for our 40-hour week that we're sitting in the offices, answering phone calls, doing the information. You know, they want to do it as part of their contract with the township, I guess that's up to them, but that's not, the $3 is a separate item.
So wouldn't this $3 be part of the levy or part of our taxes that we're already paying, and why we charging again? I don't understand that.
Well, that was decided a while, quite a few years ago. That's up to the county board if they still want to charge that $3 or not. That's up to you guys. But this contract is for just the $750 for us to do the assessing. The $3 is a different conversation.
Yeah.
You want to take it?
Yeah, I can do it quick. So that is a discussion when we adopt the fee schedule for the year. And so if that's an issue that you want to bring up, then we need to make sure and cover that. And that'll be several months down the road before we change the fee schedule for 2024. But today's discussion would be just for the contract to the $750. And just the contracts that we have on the townships are Acoma, Bergen, Glencoe, Hale, Helen, Lynn, and Winstead. The city agreements in our packet would be Biskey, Brownton, Glencoe, Hutchinson, Lester Prairie, Plato, and Winstead. And in the packet, we do have all of the signed resolutions from the townships and city councils.
Correct.
For today. So that's
I did see
that'd
that.
be the list, yeah.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Sue, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I don't, but I didn't talk to your head about this, but this brought up a question for me when you, and I'll go, because I had a couple of calls in the last, 10 days or so. When you assess the city, do you have to follow more rules of Glencoe's personal stuff, or how does that work? Do you assess just like you'd assess when you go to home or business to business? Do you just use county information, or do you actually have to be specific to the city you're in? Does that make any sense? I mean, are they putting on any regulations or saying you're holding their values higher than you would if you were on your own, or, totally on your own?
No, the rules are all the same.
They're all the same.
So whether we have a local assessor or it's coming from our office, if they hire us, the rules and regulations are the same. The value adjustments are the same. We all follow the same rules. So it doesn't, if you're looking at a difference between a contract and our local assessor and the county doing it, those value adjustments would happen no matter what.
The value, that's my question. The
Yeah.
value adjustments are, anybody from the city has no effect up or down on value adjustments, other than through the procedure of.
From the market, correct, yeah. So the value adjustments that we're making is purely market. It doesn't matter who does the work. It's actually the taxing districts that do have local assessors, the county does their sales analysis and gives them the adjusted that they need to do for the market. So they actually don't even do that. We do that for them.
So any discrepancy or challenges would come just like we do it now. The owner of the business or the house or whatever would come to would tax court be, or not tax court, but would the challenge go to the city first and then come to the county, or does it just come straight to the county?
It depends on the taxing district. Some of them have what's called open book, which means then that everything is handled in-house. They don't actually go to their individual taxing districts, but if they still maintain their local board of reviews, and have to go to that taxing district first before it came to any kind of county board.
Okay.
So it depends upon what they elected to do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, I would have said something sooner, but it just dawned on me on these other questions here.
No worries.
And then I'll just, for clarification and rather leaving some people hanging, we had when we did this $3 service fee, there's a lot more to it than what we just talked about today. I mean, and I'm open at some time to revisit that, because we do have a couple more commissioners on with. You had the documentation and the data at that time on some assessors that weren't really completing or doing matching bookwork that we needed to do, so our people had to do quite a bit of work, and you had the documentation at that time, and I remember it was, I wouldn't say controversial, but we gave it a lot of thought to put that $3 fee on there, so I would have our new commissioners check into that, and we can have a workshop or a conversation on that, but it was, in my opinion, at that time duly warranted, because it has something to do with True County. Look up True County and see what that means, and go through it, and that'll explain a lot how we got there.
Right, and it's up to the board. I mean, the $3 did become,
Correct.
So if the board elects to remove that,
Right.
that there would be that decision. But if you guys need a workshop on it and to, refresh and talk about it, we certainly can do so.
I'd like that,
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chair?
If that worked, then yes.
Yeah, just a question that I had prior, but Sue's already explained it very well on the Winston Township contract. The $3 shows up as a maintenance fee, but I did the math, and the sum of money equals the $750 per parcel. And that was the question I had. I guess I don't know why the $3 shows up on their contract and not on any of the other contracts. Is there a reason for that?
They wanted it on there. They requested to have that $3 on that contract, and that's why it shows up on theirs and not the rest. We've had conversation with Winston Township, and they preferred that to be part of the contract. It's sort of a discrepancy a little bit, just because of the fact that the $750 is for the contract. The $3 is for the maintenance fee.
Yep, thank you, Sue.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So why do we have that choice, private or county?
I guess I'm not,
That's what they pay us for.
That's a great question.
Because we're not True County.
And again, I don't want to belabor it. I think we've exhausted. To clarify it all is to go into a workshop and look, because you
Okay.
have not, no, I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad, but you haven't looked at what true, we did quite an extensive, it's a few years ago, probably 8 years already, 6, 8, but quite an extensive look. I didn't know what True County was either, seen how many counties are on True County, how many aren't, and compare the pros and cons. And in order for you to fully understand that, you can Google it. You can Google True County, and it'll tell you all the counties in Minnesota, tell you a little bit about it.
And it's a choice of the county. There are some counties that have only local assessor and just have support staff. There are others that are completely, so True County just means that the county handles all the assessing for all the taxing districts. And I believe there are some taxing districts in the county that prefer not to do that. And so we have elected to have the local assessors for those areas that prefer to have a local assessor. And then we have the county staff to be able to do the ones that prefer to have us do the work. But if you do True County, then it basically gets rid of all the local assessors. You wouldn't have any at all.
It's the closest thing to water you can get to.
So it's up to the 3 supervisors of each township on that decision.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I will move the township assessment agreement for 2023 with the townships of Acoma, Virgin, Glencoe, Hale, Helen, Lynn, and Winston townships for the $7.50 fee per parcel.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Schmal, second by Kruger, to approve the 2023 township assessment agreements with the county. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And because I don't want to get stuck here with all of you in a blizzard, I will move item F, which is the city's agreement for 2023.
Okay. Is there a second? I will second that. Motion by Nagel, second by Wright, to approve the 2023 city agreements of county assessing. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That finishes off the 2 items that we carried over. Is there anything for open forum or press relations today? Anything? Seeing none, looking for a motion to recess till our next county board meeting at 9 a.m. Tuesday, March 7th at the McLeod County Government Center.
Move recess.
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Wait 5 or 10 minutes and we'll start our workshop.